is so very dangerous. This is directly on the horizon. And it's all by a man we've been exposing this entire year. Technocracy in America, Parag Khanna. If you followed this channel this past year, you know who Parag Khanna is. We've shown you his maps. We've shown you how much of an influence he has on the U.S. government because he sat with Obama. Parag Khanna is a senior research fellow at the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy in Singapore and the author of Connectography and the new book, Technocracy in America. For those of you who do not know what we are talking about when it comes to technocracy in America, I am urging you, go to christiantruther.com/category/NWO. You will find all of these posts here. I don't have it all pulled up. Here, let me show you. One is right here, Global Goal 9, infrastructure. We've been covering infrastructure like crazy lately. I'll open that one up in just a minute. Actually, hold on. Here you go, Global Goal 9, the United Nations agenda to foundationally shift the world into a trans-border union. This was posted the day before Donald Trump was selected as president. And it's very important because Donald Trump also happens to have an infrastructure plan. This is Parag Khanna's major push for everything. Are you ready to live in a global megacity? The United Nations adopts the new urban agenda, Habitat Phase 3. All of it was based off of, guess who? Parag Khanna's connectography. This is dangerous. Focus on technocracy. We know that what President-elect Donald Trump says he'll do in the first 100 days, but we know less of what we're in for the 4 more years of Trump's improv presidency. Here's what should be done before the 2020 election to truly make America's government great. Abolish the Electoral College. Create a streamlined and expert cabinet. This is so dangerous. I can't even... Ooh, man. I actually watched the interview and I was going to do a report on it. I think it was last week sometime. Because he had it on his website. Replace the Senate with an assembly of governors. What? Number 4, let the Supreme Court modify the Constitution. Number 5, restore strong federal service that knows how to run a country. Do we have any idea what all these things mean? I'll read them to you in just a second here, but abolishing the Electoral College. That means the big mega cities make the decisions. You do not. Are you ready to live in a mega city? By the United Nations. It's the agenda. It's the plan. It doesn't matter who sits in office. This will be accomplished by 2030. Under the guise of sustainability and democracy, the United Nations seeks to destroy national sovereignty and stability by constructing global megacities. In October 2016, the UN adopted what is called Habitat 3, the new urban agenda, and it is the 3rd phase in their plan to bring about global megacities. Instead of your states, instead of our states, we will have regions. These are the same FEMA regions that I showed you guys that Parag Khanna is doing. I think it's on the 2nd page. Hang on one sec. Let me pull that up here. But anyways, this is huge, ladies and gentlemen. Mapping the New World Order, Connectography to Redefine Geography. That's his book right there, Technocracy in America. That's the 2nd book. I told you this guy was dangerous. By the way, he is a contributor to CNN, and apparently now he's also a contributor to Time Magazine. Say goodbye to the 50 states. Get ready for the FEMA regions. You've heard it before, but since Trump suddenly isn't talking up this election promise anymore, don't lose sight of it. America needs to graduate from indirect to direct democracy. The president should be directly elected by the people, not through an arcane intermediary called the Electoral College. Right, because then Hillary Clinton would be in office. Right, okay, because that's a good idea. The infamous agenda for the North American Union is taking shape, and the plan to do away with the 50 states and create the FEMA regions is happening right now. This is Parag Khanna's plan. This map right here is Parag Khanna's plan. This is the person who wrote this article. He has a very interesting influence in society. According to Parag, and those sourced in the report, the 50 states are dysfunctional and very messy, especially economically. With America continually on the downturn of leading the world in innovation, it becomes increasingly more evident that the USA is failing. Advanced economies in Western Europe and Asia are reorienting themselves around robust urban clusters of advanced industry, says Parag. However, is that the real motive behind it all? Look at the regions. They line up directly with the FEMA map. FEMA regions. This is the big question. Is Donald Trump about to, through infrastructure, reshape our country to look something like this map here? All claiming, have a look at that. This would be better for our economy. We're going to get millions of jobs. Oh, but by the way, you're living in your FEMA regions that we've been warning about for years now. Abolishing the Electoral College. Nope. Create a streamlined and expert cabinet. Nope. There are many problems with the way the cabinet is structured. It's too big, members aren't necessarily experts at what they do, and they work in silos rather than together. In other countries, such as Switzerland, but this isn't Switzerland. This is America. The executive branch is called a collective presidency, a committee of 7 elected leaders representing multiple parties and reaching consensus on major issues. They even rotate chairmanship each year. 7 heads are better than 1. Given that Trump has never been in politics, a cabinet with real governance expertise would be especially useful. Who would elect them? Replace the Senate with an assembly of governors. In recent decades, the Senate has become nothing more than a smaller version of the House, a bastion of populism focused on filibusters and other arcane procedures, and of course fundraising for re-election. Indeed, in the past, the Senate was largely composed of former governors. Now it is mostly former congressmen. It's time to go back to a Senate that knows how to actually do something. And the best way to do that is to abolish it. Wow. Let the Supreme Court modify the Constitution. It's an agenda. Watch this. Hillary Clinton is in office. There goes your gun rights. Because guess what, number 4? They just modified the Constitution. Oops, no more gun rights. And that would be step 1. There hasn't been a meaningful amendment to the Constitution since the 26th Amendment lowering the voting age to 18 in 1971. At the same time, we dare not touch the Second Amendment, you better not, 2 centuries after its intent was fulfilled to protect state militias, not to enshrine individual... Are you joking? You have not read the Constitution, buddy. So congratulations, you read the first part, but you forgot the second. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Let the Supreme Court modify the Constitution. Oh my goodness, we would be in such a world of trouble. Furthermore, conversations about the role of the Supreme Court today appear limited to wondering when its members will die and who will be president when they do. Now that said, you also have to realize this. This country's not ruled by people who are in black robes. They don't create the law of the land, because the Constitution is the law of the land. So if the Supreme Court can't modify the Constitution, whatever the Supreme Court does, how does it become the law of the land? Restore a strong federal service that knows how to run a country. Part of the deep rot that undermines the effectiveness of both the executive and legislative branches is the gutting of America's federal service. A century ago, the U.S. had legions of civil servants professionally managing the expansion of America's railways and highways and creating a new deal. Bureaucracies such as the Social Security Administration today is an emasculated and fragmented workforce overseen by self-interested cronies and contractors. Now that said, you saw the railways. Well, let's go back to here for just a minute. This is very interesting. Because if we go back to page 1, let me go back one more page here. Ready for FEMA trains? The proposed high-speed railways of the New World Order are set for construction. All it takes is the right individual who's running the White House to do such. And this is my big concern. And as I mentioned it before, I took a lot of heat for saying it. Donald Trump is claiming an infrastructure, massively upgrading our infrastructure. That right there could be alarming. Because if there is anything close to what, if it's anything close to what ProgCon is doing, then ladies and gentlemen, this is not good. Now, that said, stay tuned. We're doing another New World Order article today. I'm not entirely sure what time it will be released or posted. But this one, it's by a similar character of Parag Khanna. He's going to also be sitting on the policy. He's going to be making policies with Donald Trump, and we're going to be exposing him. Because I cannot tell you how important it is to understand the construction and the infrastructure side of things. Because when you put that whole piece together, Donald Trump is the play by the elite/Illuminati. Anyways, Parag Khanna and Time Magazine want to bring about a technocracy in America, and you can see how bad that is. Abolishing the Electoral College. Oh my goodness. Streamlined an expert cabinet. Really, who deemed them to be experts? Replace the Senate with an assembly of governors. Let the Supreme Court modify the Constitution. I rest my case in the stupidity of Parag Khanna. That's all I've got for you. God bless and carry on.